So let us start again because there was some connectivity problem because this area yesterday all night there was no power, and today also daytime just it came around and it's going and coming. So let us start again. So this design pressure you have seen, as well as the components has to be sound, and so that fatigue, there are low pressure and high pressure, there will be fluctuation of pressure, and that can cause fatigue, and the pressure pulsation and the dynamic loading has to be also taken care so that it does not fail. Then there will be a relief valves. Relief valves has to be fitted wherever you have the isolated, because it's isolation valve. In the system, hydraulic system, you'll have to provide the relief valve. And relief valve setting will be above the maximum working pressure, but below the design pressure, because it should not reach to the design pressure. So a design, it should not exceed the design pressure, so that, and the size also of the relief valve should be such so that it can release the excess. So size should be such so that it should not, it should release the pressure sufficiently so that it should not be above the design pressure. It means suppose size is less, then what will happen? It is releasing the pressure, but at the same time the pressure is increasing. But thus it is not, rate of releasing the pressure is less, then pressure will keep on increasing, and it can reach to the higher pressure of the design pressure, and your system will fail. Then the main steering gear and the rudder, the strength should be, how much should be the strength? Strength should be such so that when ship is moving ahead at maximum service speed, it means your rudder, there is some performance has to be shown. Performance has to be demonstrated in that condition. So it should be capable. What should be the angle it moves? So port and starboard, both side 35 degree, it should move. And another thing, that when it is on deepest seagoing draft, that should be the criteria. It is running full ahead and the maximum service speed ahead, as well as what will be the draft. Because draft is less, your load is less on the rudder, your torque requirement is less. So it should be, your load should be deepest seagoing draft. That time the tape performance should be done. And in that condition, another test is being done, that is, from one side 35 degree, you move the rudder to another side 30 degree, it should be not more than 28 seconds. So now tell me why it is 30 degree. One side is 35 degree, but when we are checking the movement of the rudder, it is 35, both sides. Yeah, Walde, tell me. Walde, I cannot hear you. Tell me, check your microphone.
Sorry, sir, we cannot hear anything.
You cannot hear? But I can hear you. I don't know.
Sorry,
now,
sir.
Yeah. Let me.
Yes.
Same condition. Can you hear me or no? So none of you can hear me? Because there is...
Sir, your sound is broken.
Yeah.
Your sound is broken, sir.
Because I can hear you, but you cannot hear me. That means. So, hello, can you hear me now? Or still same? Can you hear me? Or let us do one thing. Let us take a break here, 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, let me check. Okay. So we'll start at 15:30. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay now.
And the voice means you can hear me now.
Okay, let's go on, Chief. We can try.
Okay, then
Yes.
then we take a break at 20. So this is the test has been done for the, yeah, what do you want actually? Do you want to take break now and 15:30, 3:30 we start, 20 minutes break now, or we take at 15:20? What do you want? Tell me.
Chief, it's not okay. It's not okay. We cannot hear you.
Okay, then what we do, let us take a break. 20 minutes. Let me check. It improves. And then we'll start at 3:30. Okay. So let us take a break for 20 minutes now.
Chief, we cannot hear anything now.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I think it's better.
So let us take a break at this point. We'll start at 15:30. Can you hear me now?
All right, Chief. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, now we can hear you. It's clear.
Okay.
Yes, Chief. Yes.
Abraham has a question. Auxiliary steering gear means number one or number two or no? Auxiliary steering gear is something else. That is, the performance of the main steering gear is different from the auxiliary steering gear. So we'll see that what is, then you will be able to make out that what is main steering gear. Like this performance, what we have seen here, this is for the main steering. But when you talk about the performance of the auxiliary steering, it is different. So let us, once we come to next, it will come to that and we'll come to know, I'll go in details. So the capacity we have seen, the rudder has to move 35-degree port and starboard both sides. And another performance, it has to be checked, that is from the 35-degree one side to 30-degree another side. It should not take more than 28 seconds. So in that case, why it is 30-degree? We have started from the 35-degree. Then we have started counting the time. How much time it will take? We stop it at 30-degree on the other side. Because for an example, suppose it does not stop when you are stopping, or you made a mistake, then what will happen? It will hit the end, which we don't want. So that's why it is always when you are checking the timing, because you are continuously running, moving the rudder. You are not stopping it in between. So it starts from one side 35 degree, then it moving to the other side 30 degree, you stop it. And it should not take more than 28 seconds. So now another thing, the power operated by power. Steering gear has to be operated by power. To when you have the requirement of 3.2, we have seen 3.2 will come in many number of times. This 3.2 is this requirement. So this 3.2, when we required to perform for the steering gear, that time if the rudder stock is over 120 millimeter diameter in way of tiller, it means this is the rudder stock. So this is the rudder stock, and we have the tiller. So tiller is at the end of the rudder stock. So we have this is the rudder stock. It will be tapered on the top, and then we have the tiller. That is the tiller arm. So in way of tiller arm, if it is the diameter is more than 120 millimeter diameter, in that case it has to be power operated. And but the strength requirement, it should be less, means excluding the strength of the navigation in ice. Ice navigation means that different class of ships we have, that is the ice class. That requirement is different. This requirement is without that. Then it should be so designed that it should not damage even maximum Aston speed when it is going. That time it should not get damaged. And the speed, if you see this maximum rudder angle at maximum Aston speed, it is not actually checked by the trial. It is the ahead. It is the design calculation. You'll have to prove that it can withstand. The material design is such so that maximum Aston speed, that time what will be the torque requirement it can produce. It will not fail, and material will withstand that torque. Now this is the auxiliary steering gear. Let us see that. Auxiliary steering gear also has to be adequately strength so that it does not advance navigational speed. What we have at that speed, it should be actually workable, and also it should be like the brought speedily into action in case of emergency. In case of main steering gear fail, then it should be speedily, it should be brought in action so that it works. And what is the requirement, performance requirement for the auxiliary steering? From one side 15 degree port, for an example, 15 degree from one side, another side is 15 degree. That is the movement, whereas the main steering gear was 35 degree to 35 degree. And what will be the other requirement? We have seen, and this requirement, it means if you bring from the 15 degree port to the 15 degree starboard, or 15 degree starboard to the 15 degree port, how much time it should take? It should not be more than 60 seconds. And what will be the condition of the ships? Deepest sea going draft. But what will be the speed? We have seen in the main steering gear, it is the full service speed, maximum service speed. But here it is something different. Also, here also there is some difference. What is that? 1/2 of the maximum service speed. It means suppose our service speed is 18 knots. So it will be 9 knots. But there is another condition has to be satisfied. Or 7 knot, whichever is greater. For an example, our maximum speed is 12 knot or 13 knot. Half speed will be 6.5 or 6. In that case, we'll have to maintain 7 knots. So whichever is higher, that we'll have to consider. Suppose it is 18 knots, as I told you, half is 9. In that case, 9 will be applicable when the test is carried out. It has to be operated by power. Now, if the rudder stock diameter in way of the tiller is 230 millimeter diameter, it is more than 230 millimeter diameter, then it has to be operated by the power, because here the power requirement is less. you are going to 15 degree, as well as your speed is less. So this is the requirement, but excluding the ice, strength of the ice, navigation in the ice. So main and auxiliary steering gear power units. So it has to be arranged such a way so that restart automatically when the power is restored. When the power is, suppose there is a power failure, after that the power comes, it should automatically restore the power. It will not like we do some power failure, there is preferential trip, you reset it. No, it should automatically, power should be, once power is restored, your restart the main and auxiliary steering will start again automatically. And it should be brought into operation from the navigational bridge. And one power failure, suppose, in that case, there should be an audio visual alarm. Where it should give to the navigational bridge, as well as it should give to, it means audio visual, it should give to the navigational bridge, as well as it should be in the steering compartment, and as well as it will be in the engine room. It will be engine control room, and it can be incorporated in the alarm monitoring system of the engine room. It is allowed. So main steering gear, it will be comprised with, it will comprise with 2 or more identical power unit. Like you have told, Abraham has told that 1 and 2. That is, this is talking about. You can have 2 systems identical, 1 and 2. And 1 auxiliary steering gear you can have. It means now auxiliary system, if it is 2 identical power unit you have, in that case auxiliary system it's not required, because those 2, it is independent. So one of the power unit will act as a auxiliary steering gear. That is the reason, I think, I don't has anybody seen the auxiliary steering system? Because most of the cases will not have, because you have the 2, more than 1 identical system, identical power unit, that power will be more than the auxiliary steering gear. So it will be able to perform that 15 degree port starboard within 60 seconds at the deepest seagoing draft with that speed, that criteria of speed, what we have said, it will fulfill. For the passenger ship and that cargo ship, there is some difference. What is the difference? Difference is the main steering gear is capable of operating the rudder. For the passenger ships, each power unit should be able to perform 3.2. We have seen 3.2, 35 degree port, 35 degree starboard, or other vice versa, and 35 to one side to 30 to another side. It should be not more than 28 seconds and deepest seagoing draft, and the maximum service height speed. So these will comply performance. It will give 1 power unit. It should give. Cargo ship, it is all the power unit together it can give. That is the difference between the passenger ships and the cargo ship. Both are actually fulfilling the requirement performance of 3.2. But here each unit, here all the unit. And you have 2 identical unit. So 1 unit can be considered as auxiliary steering gear. If it can perform, it will be performing more than that 15 degree and 60 seconds. So there will be no additional auxiliary steering gear is required in that condition. And most of the vessel is designed that way. So main steering gear, it's single failure. It means, what does it mean? We have 2 identical systems. Now one system for piping system is failed. Then what will happen? Or the power system has failed. So it has to be that means the defective system has to be isolated, and the other system should be in operation. So that is called single failure. Why it is called single failure? We have 2 identical units. One fails, other takes over. And if other takes over, if you don't isolate the failed system, then there will be leakage. So it will not, you'll be losing, and then the other system also will become inoperative. So it has to be isolated and change over to the other system. So that speedy regain it should be. It is made such a way, it takes very little time. So it is actually 45 seconds. Within 45 seconds, it should be fully capable of steering. Steering capability is restored. Steering gear, the other than the hydraulic system, it has to be equivalent and it has to be satisfaction to the administration. Steering gear control, main steering gear control, this control both navigational bridge and the steering compartment. Control has to be both places. And main steering, two independent control has to be there. So control system, what does it mean control system? Control system means we have the bridge here. So this bridge, we have the, in the wheelhouse we have the wheel. And our system is, this is the engine room. And after it, we have the, here we have the steering platform. So this signal has to come here. There are different ways to come. Because bridge is giving the order, this is the transmitter, and this is the receiver. Accordingly, it is turning the rudder. So this control system, it is talking about, it has to be two. Two independent control system should be there from the bridge to the steering compartment. And it should be independent. There is, it's not that some component can be used together in between. No. So and both should be operable from the bridge. Now certain things you cannot make two. So what are those? The steering wheel, it will be one. Steering lever, sometimes it is not the wheel, it is a lever by which we can turn the rudder. And that duplication is not required. Hydraulic telemotor, if it is hydraulic telemotor, in that case, the second independent system is not required. It means hydraulic telemotor from the bridge to the, we'll see what is hydraulic telemotor. It is completely hydraulically operated. Control system is hydraulically operated. But except, it means if not, need not to be fitted for the hydraulic telemotor, but except, this is except the tanker, that is the oil tanker, chemical tanker, and the gas carrier of 10,000 GT and above. It is, then in that case, you'll have to have independent, means second independent system you need to have. Auxiliary steering gear, it is power operated and it should be operable from the navigational bridge and independent of the control system of the main steering gear. The control system, auxiliary system also, the power unit will be in the steering platform. Control system is coming from the bridge to the steering platform. That has to be independent of the main steering gear. So any main and auxiliary steering gear control is operable. It should be operable from the bridge. And electrical circuit, it should be two separate supply. It means steering gear power circuit, it has to be steering compartment from, and directly it will be from the main switchboard bus bar. So it will not be going to the junction box and then distributor. No, it will be independently from the main bus bar to the steering platform. It will be to the one close to the, as close as possible to the power unit. Then steering gear compartment. So control system, we can be able to disconnect from the steering gear compartment. Like when you test the emergency steering, we switch off the autopilot from the steering compartment. We can do that. It means what we have done, that is the control system we have switched off. So this, like the operation from the navigational bridge, it should brought into operation from the navigational bridge also. An event of failure of the power, Audible visual alarm, navigational bridge, and short circuit protection has to be there for the electrical circuit. It means for electrical motor driven pump, it has to be short circuit protection has to be given. Then electrical power circuit and the component cable piping system, it has to be separated as far as practicable throughout their length. It means independently, and it will be separated. It means one get damaged, other at least it is safe, so that you can use still the steering is not lost. Communication, bridge as steering gear, there has to be a communication. It is independent communication, as well as there will be one, the intercom system has to be there. But independent has to be there. And angular position indicator, it has to be there, how much angle it has turned. So for the main gear and the main steering gear, if it is operated, then indication, navigational bridge, it has to be there, this indication, angle position indicator of the rudder. And it should be independent of the steering gear control. What does it mean? Well, the steering gear system will have a feedback, how much angle it has turned. That feedback system you cannot use for the angle position indicator. It has to be, it means you'll have to have a different sensor to give you that angle, how much is the rudder angle. And it should be recognizable from the steering compartment also. It means you'll be having a steering compartment as well as bridge, and you can have some other places also, but steering compartment and the bridge, it is the must. Hydraulic power operated steering gear. So now when there is a hydraulic power operated steering gear, there will be some leakage. Suppose there is a leakage, it means it has to be minimized. So it is designed such a way so that that compartment is kept clean. As well as that compartment, it means the cleanliness has to be maintained for the hydraulic fluid, as well as there should not be any leakage in the design should be such so that there is no contamination also. And low level alarm has to be there, because hydraulic system will be having a reservoir. There should be a low level alarm, which is audio visual alarm, has to be given. Suppose there is why the low level alarm will come, it means you have lost some oil. Where it will go, it will be the outside leakage. So in the compartment there will be a leakage, and it should give an audio visual alarm, where it should give navigational bridge as well as the machinery space. So that the machinery space, it is the control room, and each readily observe, means somebody should be able to observe it. And all the machinery space, there are alarm column, it should be incorporated too, so that it can be attended immediately. Then fixed storage tank. Storage tank has to be fixed, which capacity should be at least one powered actuation system. The hydraulic oil, how much it is required, that storage tank minimum it should be there. And the fillings replenishing system has to be permanent. Permanently it is installed, the piping system and all. You'll be having a pump, hand pump. Usually we have a hand pump by which we do replenish it. And it should be in the steering compartment. Now the steering compartment, it is outside the engine room. So it should be readily accessible from the machinery space. Like for the large vessel, you all have seen that there is two doors we have, that is the airlock, so that it is separated, but it is next to the engine room. So we have two self-closing doors which are airtight. So we cannot open actually both together. One we open, we close it, and then another one we can open. So that gives us the separation. And it is also, readily accessible, and it is close to the engine room. Another thing, the steering compartment, there has to be handrails, because if you have the hydraulic, suppose it is leaking, it is really slippery. So there has to be sufficiently, there will be handrails as well as the gratings. So that in the grating it is anti-skid. And also non-slip surfaces. That anti-skid paint we apply so that people should not fall in case of hydraulic oil leakage. Then rudder stock over 230 millimeter dia in the way of tiller 4.2, it means if you are requirement 4.2 is the auxiliary steering requirement. Then alternate power supply should be there. It means main power fails, the alternate power takes over, and that should be sufficient to run the steering gear to comply with 4.2. In that case, it will not comply with your 3.2. 4.2 is the requirement for 15-degree port and starboard. And the rudder and angle indicator also, it should show, as well as it is within 45 seconds, it should restore. Emergency source of electrical power. It might not be emergency electrical power. It can be also independent power source located in the steering gear compartment. For an example, one generator is there in the steering gear compartment that is for the steering only. And you have another is emergency source of electric power. But most of the cases, what we will see, emergency power source is calculated such a way that gives you don't have any independent power located in the steering gear compartment, but that provision is there in the SOLAS. So what will be the timing, how much time it will be, this power will supply. So the ship 10,000 GT and upward, alternative power supply capacity should be at least 10 minutes for continuous operation. And in other ships, it is, this is the 10,000 GT and above is 30 minutes, and other ships is 10 minutes. So that should be the supply of alternative power. And then tanker, chemical, oil tanker, chemical tanker, and the gas tanker, 10,000 above, and but less than the, and every other ship is 70,000 and above. You must have the main steering gear, it is 2 or more identical power unit. So you'll have to have, this is a requirement, you'll have to have the 2 or more identical power unit. And for cargo ships, it is, we'll see there are, for some tanker it will be different, but cargo ship we have seen that all this power unit together, it should be able to comply with the 3.2, that is 35 degree, 35 degree. Then every tanker, chemical tanker, gas carrier, 10,000 GT and above. So what is the requirement? Main steering gear, this is for the tankers. Main steering gear. So if loss of steering capability due to the single failure, what is the single failure? We have seen, we have more than one identical unit, one fail, other should isolate it, and other should take over. Other should take over. In that case, that is called single failure. So this single failure criteria will be applicable for this, all this tanker GT 10,000 GT and up above. And but what will be there is some component, if it is damaged, you won't be able to you won't be able to perform. What are those? Tiller. Tiller is, if it is tiller is damaged, you won't be able to perform. Quadrant. Quadrant is nothing like, this is the tiller, and this tiller, what is quadrant? This is having a thread. So this is the quadrant. And if you have a, suppose the rod which is having a thread, now if you have a wheel here, if you turn this rod with a thread, what will happen? This will move both the direction. So that is called quadrant. It means manually you are actually, you are turning the rudder. That is called quadrant. Quadrant, suppose it is damaged, then you cannot do operate the steering gear. Then seizure of the rudder actuator. And a rudder actuator, if it is seized, your system is okay, but still it is not work. So these are the exemption, and it should regain not more than 45 seconds. One single failure means one failure, another will take over. And loss of one power actuation system, once it is failed, other one will take over, isolate and take over within 45 seconds. So now in this case, 2 independent separate power unit you have and capable of performing 3.2. What does it mean? We have, it means the each capable of meeting the 3.2 for the tanker of this size. We have seen that what is the, this is 10,000 GT and above. In that case, we have one is single criteria, single failure criteria, but it is saying something else. What we have seen that in cargo ships, all the power units together should be able to perform this. But now here it is saying that two independent separate power actuation system will have to have each capable of meeting this. And this call the 100% redundancy. It means you have one single failure criteria, one fail, another will take over. Isolate the defective one and it will perform 4.2. But in this case, what will happen? One is failure, another one will be in operation, but it should be able to perform 3.2. What does it mean? 100% capacity it should have. It means both the power unit should have the 100% capacity. It means this is called 100% redundancy. So there is a difference between the single failure criteria and the 100% redundancy. When individual unit capable of performing 3.2, it is 100%. When a failure of one unit, another unit is taking over and isolating that unit, the damaged unit, and it will perform 4.2, that is single failure criteria. So at least two units need to have actuating power system so that 3.2 can be performed. And loss of hydraulic fluid from one system should be able to detect. It means any damage to the hydraulic piping system or hydraulic system. So it should be able to detect and isolate, automatically isolating. For tanker, it is automatically isolating, and other actuating system should remain fully operational. And for tanker 10,000 GT and above and less than 100,000 GT, this single failure criteria of the radar is if not applied, it can be, administration may give the exemption. In that case, there will be some arrangement. It's in loss of steering capabilities for single failure in the piping system and steering capability regained in 45 seconds. It means there will be some another equivalent safety standard has to be arranged. And single rudder actuator, you can have the single rudder actuator. In that case, the stress analysis has to be done such a way so that it means the safety factor will be high in that case, because single actuator means once that actuator is damaged, we don't have any other actuator. So in that case, material design, so all fatigue is considered, fracture analysis has to be done. So then the material design is done. So there is the non-duplicate rudder actuator for the tankers. There can be, that is depending on the administration. In that case, what will happen? Administration will see that which is the rudder, the actuator maker, steering gear maker. Are they reliable from their history? So all these things will be considered for the approval. So this is also same, like only the date is different. So single failure criteria, which you have understood what is single failure criteria and what is 100% redundancy, and what is auxiliary performance and what is the main steering gear performance. So the control system, that is, it means immediately it will bring in operation, one fails and another one, and it has to be having the, like electric serve on, we have seen that switch, it is a power system, that is the cabling and all, it will be independent. Already we have covered it, only because of that date it is the repetition. So this is also same actually, only because of this 40,000 GT and above, it is single failure. The same, what is the single failure, and the steering capability, speedily it should be regained. Now there should be a fast acting valve. What is the fast acting valve? It is a on-off solenoid valve. It can be manually operated valve also. What it does, suppose one system fail, another system, it has to be isolated. That isolation valve will be fast acting valve. it will act fast so that it gets isolated the other unit, because otherwise you will be losing the oil from the other unit also. And then it is isolated, and the sound system will take over, and then it will keep on running the steering gear, so that steering gear is not steering power is not failed. So the hydraulic power unit interconnection connected, suppose it is interconnected, then loss of hydraulic fluid from one system, it has to be detected. That's why isolation is required. Automatically isolation is required, and it will get automatically isolated, and from the bridge also it will be fully operational. Then there is 30 is the electric and electrohydraulic steering gear. In that case, the motor of the electrohydraulic steering gear, it means the running indication, it has to be there in bridge, because bridge should know which unit is, if they have started the unit, it is running or not. As well as in the machinery space, you'll see in the control room there is an indication that steering gear is running. So that is as per the regulation 30. And each electric and electrohydraulic steering gear, so it is one or more power unit. Once you have at least 2 exclusive electrical circuit has to be fed from the main switchboard. So one fail, another one you can use for steering gear, so that steering is not lost. So auxiliary also same, auxiliary electric also, electrohydraulic steering, the independent 2 electrical power has to be supplied. Then the short circuit protection and the overload alarm. It means short circuit protection is there, but overload protection is not there, only the alarm. Alarm is provided. So what will be the setting? It should be there for the electrical circuit as well as motors. So this should be excess current of, it means including the starting current. It should not be less than twice the full load current. It should be not less than twice the full load current. This protection is there, and overload alarm is there. So the only short circuit protection is provided for the steering gear, because it is so important equipment for the ship. It should not actually stop. That is the reason it is made. And 3-phase supply, suppose the indication, you must have an alarm. So indicate the failure of one supply phase, it should give you an indication. So any phase it fails, it should give you the indication that there is a phase failure. Then alarms, what are the alarms? These alarms should come to the audiovisual, where it should come, main machinery spaces. That is it should be machinery space. That's why it is incorporated. It is allowed. It can be incorporated in the machinery space alarm monitoring system, so that everybody in the engine room, anybody is there, he can hear the alarm. And the engine control room, you can see that it is from the steering gear. Now there is some requirement for testing. So that is the chapter 5 of SOLAS. It is requirement 26 regulation. What is the requirement? The testing steering gear prior to the, Amelia, tell me.
Okay, Chief. On this short circuit protection of the motor.
Yeah.
And this protection is to switch off the motor, or just only alarm and warning?
No, protection, when it is protection, it is strip. Only short circuit strip is there. Overload trip is not there. Overload alarm is there. So that is the only trip is given as per the SOLAS requirement.
Okay,
So this protection, all the alarms and what is the trip, separately I'll come to a slide. But that is as per the SOLAS. And any system, it has to comply with the SOLAS. So a requirement for the testing of steering gear prior to the departure, you must test it. It is a SOLAS mandatory requirement. Requirement for instruction What is that? The instruction should be posted on the steering gear as well as on the bridge. Changeover procedure, emergency procedure, all has to be, operating procedure has to be posted. Officers who are competence officer only will operate the steering gear operation and maintenance. They will only do. Then requirement for testing, emergency steering drill, once in 3 months, it has to be done. Then reduced requirement for the ships for short voyage. Many ships, they are transshipped. Every day, every alternate day, they will make a port. In that case, it is done weekly. So it will not be every departure you cannot do. Means it is not required to do. So recording of test and drill. There is a drill and test record book on the bridge. Bridge log book also it will be entered, as well as engine log book it will be entered. Then 12 hours before departure. Why the limit is 12 hours? Because before that if you do, after that something can happen. So we keep it around 12 hours is okay, as per the IMO has decided. This is 12 hours is okay. Within 12 hours if you test it, it will be working. So what the test is done, main steering gear, auxiliary steering gear. If you are provided with auxiliary steering gear, auxiliary and main both. And if it is 2 identical unit and 1 identical unit, it can comply with the auxiliary steering performance. So you will not be having separate auxiliary steering system. Then remote steering gear control system. It means from the bridge it has to be operated. Locally also it has to be operated. And you have the 2 control system. Both has to be tested. Steering position location. It means on the navigational bridge. When you are testing, that time you are in the steering gear room, you must communicate with the bridge and you must check the indication in the steering platform and the bridge. You must inform the bridge will verify whether, like bridge will tell that 5 degree port and it has gone to the 5, but you check what is the degree it's showing in the steering platform locally, that you convey to the bridge, and bridge will see their indicator is same or not. Also bridge will see what command they have given, it is matching with that. So, but in that case, which indicator you will be checking from the locally, the mechanical one you must check. You must check mechanical one as well as the remote one. You must check, that is the electrical one in the steering platform, because mechanical one will never give you the wrong rating because it is mechanically connected. But the electrical one can give you the wrong rating. So you must convey the message that what is the local reading you have seen, that mechanical one on the tiller arm which is attached to, and with the guide bar, there is a bar and there is a plate where you have the different angle it's showing. So that one you must tell and you must compare with that. Then the emergency power supply, you can put off the main power supply and then emergency power supply and you can try. It means you can check that yes, emergency power supply is coming. And then rudder angle indicator in relation to the actual position of the rudder. That is the mechanical one, that is a locally installed, that should be compared with that rudder angle indicator. There are electronic or the electrical indicator, those has to be compared. Remote steering gear control system failure. It means the remote control system you put off. The switch off the control system, you will get an alarm. So it should give you a failure alarm. Steering gear power failure system. You switch off the power, it will give you an alarm. And then automatic isolating arrangement. How will you check this automatic isolating? This is based on the leakage, for an example. And once the leakage is there, what will happen? Your tank reservoir level will reduce. So you can activate the float. There is float switch. You can activate. There is a provision. You can push it or lift it. Push it and it will move down, and it will automatically isolation will be done, and the other system will start and it will restore the power. You can check also timing 45 seconds. Within that, it came in other system came in fully operational or not. So that is the way auto isolating system has to be checked. Now the full movement of the rudder According to the capability of the steering gear, we have seen that 3.2 has to be checked. Then visual inspection, any leakage, by visually you can find out. Then communication to the bridge and the steering gear, that we'll be checking during the test. Then the simple operating instruction should be there. It should be any instruction. It should be very, very simple. Even a layman should be able to read and do. Because you don't know in emergency who has to operate by seeing that instruction. And what is the best way to test it, whether your operating instruction is actually correctly done or not. Always you call one person who is not a non-technical person, who does not know anything about the steering gear. Ask him to operate. From your, Deyut, tell me.
Yes, Chief. But for this standby changeover procedure, if we activate only the level, it will give us only level alarm. It will not change over. As I remember, my last trip, it was like that. I don't think,
So in your system, auto isolation, if it is there in auto isolation, that activates from the level alarm. So once it is giving, how many alarm was there? Was it more than one?
no, it's only one with
Only-
one level alarm, and for the other system also only one level alarm.
Yeah. So did you have auto isolation?
No, that's why I ask. I don't
It
remember.
was not
this
a
auto
requirement for your vessel, that's why. So the auto isolation is required for the, was it tanker or the dry cargo?
No, it's dry cargo. It's bulk.
Dry cargo, it is 70,000 and above. That's why you did not have. But it can be in addition to that. It can be. SOLAS requirement is your ships was, how much was the GRT? Was it less than 70K?
No, it was more than. It was
More than 70K. So
yes.
then let us see what was that, the requirement for this one. So this is the identical, yeah, you are right, that is the identical unit. But the single failure criteria, this is for the tanker. But for the bulk carrier also, it can be installed. But for tanker, it is must. That is 10,000 GT and above. So in your vessel, it was not a requirement. That's why it was not there. But if it is there,
Okay.
then it will be, it is based on the float. We'll see whether it is there in your syllabus, how to check and how the circuit, the hydraulic circuit works.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
So, so this is it means the simple instruction. As I told you, that whenever you make an instruction, always you call a person who does not have much knowledge, who does not have knowledge on that, and you ask him to operate. But you be there. If you make any mistake, you stop it. So that if he can do by seeing that instruction, it means you are perfect. Because anybody can, because if you have made an instruction which only engineers can operate, engineers has got the technical knowledge, so he will be able to. But that is not the test. Test you must do such a way. So then the changeover procedure, that block diagram, but it should be block diagram. If you go in details, other people will not be able to understand. It should be changeover procedure, and remote steering gear control system should be permanently displayed on the navigational bridge and steering compartment. Now you have seen that where is the wheel, there it is posted on the side, so that the bridge watchkeeper can read it, as well as engineers can read it in the steering compartment it is provided. And ship's officers concerned with operation and the maintenance, they should be familiarized with this operation of the steering gear and procedure for changing over procedure. So, and to make, that's the reason drill is done, so that the concerned person knows how to do it. He does not make any mistake when the emergency comes. So routine checks has to be done. That emergency steering drill every 3 months, it has to be done. And drill including the direct control, that is the steering gear compartment, that is the emergency, and the remote control both, and communication has to be checked. And then the test requirement, it is the short voyage duration, then it is every week. You cannot do every departure. So this is done every weekly if it is a short voyage. An emergency steering drill to be carried out. So it is date and date is done and the test is carried out. That has to be written, what test has been carried out in the logbook. So this is the guidelines which is reference to regulation 26 and UK flagship, as I've told that we are using mostly UK notices. So less than 150 GT, what will be the, it is applicable, 26 will be applicable. And then there is some amendment that replace SOLAS V, this V oblique 74 regulation 90-23, it is regulation 24, 25, 26 is superseded with this. So automatic pilot and tasting gear, there is a requirement for UK flag vessel. And how to heading control is done. Autopilot means it is the heading is controlled by the autopilot. Accordingly, the steering will move. Now this part is up to the regulation. Now let us see what is the actual steering gear, what are the components and all. The components is steering gear, we have the rudder, carrier, bearing. Then we have a power unit and the control system. What is the rudder carrier bearing? It means we have the rudder, which is outside the ship, and we have the stern frame. And this is our rudder. We have a carrier bearing. So this is the, for an example, this is our steering platform. So this is the rudder stock will be above that, and there will be a carrier bearing here. What is the carrier bearing does? It means it takes the complete weight of the rudder. And when it is turning, there is, it takes the, it means the, this is the bearing we have. For an example, if it is straight bearing. So it is taking the load, all the mass, weight, as well as when it is turning, it is having a rubbing action. And then we have the actuator. Actuator is here for an example. So we have the tiller arm here, and then we have the, for an example, we have the actuator. It can be hydraulic ram, it can be rotary vane. And then we have the control system. What is the control system? This has to turn at particular degree. So the bridge is giving you the order for that. So there will be a transmitter in the bridge, and there is a receiver here. That is the control system. After that, accordingly, rudder is turned. So these are the main component of your steering gear. Now we'll see each component, how does it work. So rudder carrier bearing, actually it is there in the your ship construction. That's why it is not here to avoid the duplication. But rudder carrier bearing, what is, just in brief, let me tell you, this is the our steering gear platform, and this plate will be a thick plate because this will be around 40 millimeter. So we have the rudder carrier bearing. So in the bearing, what will happen? This, for an example, this is the bearing surface. So top part, it is attached clamp onto the rudder stock. So when the rudder is turning, top part also turning, and bottom part is attached to your hull. So this is the carrier bearing because it carries the load of the rudder. That's why it might not be straight line. We'll see in the that part, the ship construction part. But this is the bearing. What we have it. This bearing, top part housing is you're attached to your rudder stop, which is rotating and it is having that angular displacement, but the bottom part is fixed, stationary, and there is a bearing in between top and bottom. There will be, so that this bearing will get worn out, and it will be it is hard material is used so that the wear rate is less, as well as there is a permanent lubrication is there, so that it lubricates, the wear rate is reduced. Another, now when this is rotating, it is the turning. What will happen? The top part will turn. What will happen? The bottom part is not turning. There will be another relative motion here. So there will be a bearing here also. Clear, understood? There will be a bearing here, as well as there will be a bearing on this face. So there will be two bearing in the bearing surface on the carrier bearing, because there is a relative motion between the top part and the bottom part, as well as there is a relative motion between the rudder stop and the bottom part, this portion. So there will be a bearing surface here. So now the rudder, how much angle it should move, we have seen 35 degree to 35 degree, both sides, from one side to the other side. Now, when the control system, which is giving, which is having a transmitter in the bridge and the receiver in the steering platform, that should give you, the movement should give you a movement of the rudder, 35 degree port and 35 degree starboard. But there are other limitation also. It means the rudder stop in the outside of the, like we had drawn, I have drawn this rudder which is outside, and this is the supposed rudder stop. So we can mechanically restrict the, how much will be the limit of movement of the rudder. Suppose we see from top. In top view, it will be like this. And suppose you have a sole piece here. And the sole piece is make like this. Then what will happen? When the rudder is moving in this direction and in this direction, at one point, because sole piece is not, it is stationary. So what will happen? This rudder will have a mechanical stop at one point, and that is 39 degree. Each side it is kept. So it will, suppose it is turning. Once it is turning, this is the fulcrum point. So at this axis it is turning. Then what will happen? The moment it will touch here, our rudder cannot move further. So this angle is kept. This is the 0 point, and this angle is kept 39 degree, which is the limit, the rudder stop externally. So we can have, this is one of the arrangement we can have, so that 39 degree, both sides it will be 39 degree. Then another limitation we have, the actuator. In the steering platform, so rudder, we will be able to stop it at 37 degree. At 37 degree, for an example, we have this is the ram. So ram will move and the rudder will turn, and the movement of the ram will be maximum when it reaches, then this rudder angle changes 37 degree. So that is another limit. Telemotor, what is the telemotor? Telemotor is the control system. That the control system I was talking about, that is you have the transmitter in the bridge and the receiver in the steering platform. That movement will make the rudder to turn 35 degree. That is the way it is designed. It means if, yeah, they would tell me.
Yes, Chief. What is the reason in the first place to make rudder angle maximum 35 or 39? Why not 50? Why not 60 or something like that?
Yeah, it is there in your syllabus in the rudder chapter of the your naval arc. But just let me, in brief, if I tell you, you'll understand. So, rudder, when it is moving, actually what is happening? The ship is turning. So there is a force by which the ship turns. Okay. That force, if you go beyond this, it becomes stall. So in naval arc, we'll go in details. It is there in syllabus in details. We'll see we need to operate this rudder within that angle. For an example, you have designed a rudder. It can 37 degree. Suppose it can move and still you get a lifting force, which that force is turning the ship. Beyond that, if you go, it becomes stall. So we use within that angle, we do use for the rudder, and 35 degrees the idle angle. Understood? Clear? So we restrict to that. We'll, once we go, we'll have numerical also. Then we'll understand. More clarity will be there in that. So this is the way we stop the rudder angle we limit. Then rudder powered units. It means it can be 2 or 4 hydraulic ram. It can be electric motor. It can be 2 ram system also. It can be rotary vane, hydraulic system, and electrical system. That is the world renowned. That is the one of the best system we can have. For the rudder also we do use this. So different type of power unit we can have, and we use all any of this, and it may be combination also. It may be electro-hydraulic, it may be pure electric, it may be pure hydraulic also. All type of system we do use. So 4 ram system, if you see how it is working, let us see this, then we can go to the description. So here in this case there is 4 ram system. Here the cylinder and the ram, 4 cylinder is there, and the ram which is moving inside the cylinder, and we have the hydraulically it is operated. Now in this particular diagram it is crosshead. We have a crosshead here. This is the rudder stock and this is the tiller arm. And tiller arm is how it is fitted with the rudder stock. It is taper and there is a key. This key is making a lock between the tiller arm and the rudder stock. And once this ram is moving, suppose it is ram is moving in this direction, it means this side there should be hydraulic pressure, this side has to get drained. Similarly, in opposite side, this side has to be pressure, this side has to be drained. Then only what will happen? This will move this direction, this ram will move this direction, and our tiller arm will turn, will have an angular displacement, and tiller arm is attached to the rudder stock by the key, so rudder stock will turn. This is the basic simple arrangement of a 4 ram system. Now what is this guide, beam, crosshead and the crosshead sleeper? Now one of the arrangement, it means this is having a linear motion, but our rudder stock or the tiller arm is having an angular motion. So to convert the linear motion to the angular motion, you need to have some arrangement. This is the arrangement you have. So that the linear motion you can convert into the angular motion for the tiller arm, and tiller arm will turn the rudder stock and the rudder stock will turn the rudder. Now how this arrangement is. So in this case, if you see this arrangement, now suppose it is at midship section, midship point, it means it is at midship rudder, and then this your hydraulic ram is in this position and your crosshead is in this position. And if you see crosshead, there is a circle, which is the crosshead pin. So this distance, now this is the center line of the ram or the cylinder, and this is the center point of the your rudder stop. This distance is the minimum distance now. Suppose this distance is minimum. Now, if it is moving in this direction, then what will happen? This crosshead will move linearly, whereas your tiller arm will have an angular motion. So what will happen? This distance, since crosshead is on this line, this distance now is increased. So this is no more, suppose this is E. This is no more E, it is greater than E. Now, and also it will have an angle. Now we'll have to arrange such a way so that we can convert the linear motion to the angular motion, as well as there should not be any mechanical interference which might damage your arrangement. So let us see how that arrangement is. And this, the description, if let us see the description quickly. It is the same thing what I have told. So the tiller arm is attached to the rudder stop, and there is a swivel block. Swivel block is the, it is converting linear motion to the angular motion, linear motion of the ram to the angular motion of the tiller arm. And then we have the two hydraulic ram in each side we have, and we have the cylinder and hydraulic piston we have inside the cylinder, and then one tiller arm we have, that is, we can have also two ram system. In that case, the other side will not be there. And there will be one set of hydraulic ram, that is two ram system. But here it is shown four ram system. And it can be single acting, it can be double acting also. We'll see that both it is there in your syllabus. So if it is double acting, if you have two ram but double acting, then it becomes single failure criteria. Single failure criteria means one side is suppose it's damaged, the other ram will still can operate, because if it is double acting. But if it is single acting, suppose this is the cylinder and it is single acting, this cylinder fail, you won't be able to. But if it is a double acting, so one side it is failed, still it can operate, because one cylinder which is double acting still can move both direction. So this we'll see in details. There are sketches. So crosshead and slipper arrangement, let us see first. Let us see the diagram. This is the crosshead and slipper arrangement. Now this is the tiller arm. Tiller arm which is attached to your rudder stop. And this tiller arm enters into the crosshead pin. This is the crosshead pin. And crosshead pin will have a hole. It means if you see from the other side, this is our crosshead pin. So this is our crosshead pin. This will have a hole. And through this hole, our tiller arm will enter. Now what will happen? We have seen that, suppose at midship position, this distance is minimum. So this is the center point of the rudder stop, and this is the center line of the ram, which will be the center point of this. So this distance is suppose E. Now when it is turning, it is moving in this direction, the ram. Then what will happen? This tiller arm, because it will move in this line only, and this distance has increased. So this will be more than E. Now what will happen? This, it is entered into this hole. So this will, once it is, distance is increasing in this side, then what will happen? This side distance is reduced. But what will happen? This pin, crosshead pin, here the hole was like this, through which the tiller arm has entered. But in this, it is linearly moving in this direction. From here, it has moved in this direction. And if the hole remain per the perpendicular to this line, then what will happen? Our tiller arm has entered into this hole. There will be mechanical interference. So in that case, what we need, so this hole also has to align with your tiller arm. It means tiller arm has entered into this hole. This is the tiller arm. Now tiller arm will remain inside the hole. Only thing, this distance will increase and this distance will reduce. But tiller arm also, your crosset pin has to turn to have an angular displacement. It has got linear displacement in this direction. At the same time, it has to have a angular displacement so that there is no mechanical interference between the tiller arm and the crosset pin. That is how we can achieve that. We have a bearing here and bearing here. And this portion, what we see, this is the portion of the ram. It means this is having a linear motion. This will move in this line. But crosset pin will move with the line as well as it can turn. It will turn because otherwise this tiller arm will turn this crosset pin to make it align so that there is no mechanical interference. So to turn the crosset pin, there has to be a bearing here and here. Now this pin with this is the ram portion of the ram and it is moving linearly. So it will move linearly as well as this tiller arm is moving, and tiller arm will make this angular displacement of the pin so that there is no mechanical interference. And this distance, which is more than this distance, which will be accommodated because this tiller arm, this is moving straight line, this is making an angle. So this will, it means some portion from here, it will come out this direction. So this is the way crosset system is arranged. Is it clear, all of you, how the crosset arrangement is there? I have not finished it. There are certain things is remaining, but crosset pin, tiller arm, why these two bearing is provided? Because there is a movement both direction for this. Again, it's coming back to here. There will be a relative motion between the crosset pin and the tiller arm this direction. So there has to be a bearing. That's why this bearing is provided, as well as crosset pin has to turn because this angle has to be, it has to be aligned. It means it has to be same axis with the tiller arm. That's why this two bearing is provided so the pin also can turn. Angular displacement you can have with your tiller arm. Is the arrangement clear to you all? Yeah, Deyut, tell me.
Yes, Chief. So the hole for the crosshead is bigger than the tiller arm diameter, because otherwise, if it is moving on the same axis, it will be a mechanical locking, I guess.
Yeah. So there will be a clearance between the, like bearing clearance you have. Here also there will be a clearance. There will be, this is not interference fit. There will be slight clearance so that it can move. Because there will be a relative motion. At this point, this relative motion will be in this direction. Whereas when it is coming back, relative motion will be in this direction. So there will be a clearance provided. And this is the bearing metal, which is attached to your crosset pin. There will be, it will not get seized because, and this is a self-lubricated material is been used. Is it clear? Have you understood, Deyut?
No, because it's moving on linearly.
You're coming broken. Can you write it? What you want to say? Can you text me in the chat?
Only the okay.
Yeah, say again, you are coming broken. Can you say again, or do you text me in the chat?
Yeah, Chief. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it is clear.
Yes, Chief. So what I want to say is, it is the crosshead is moving linearly along the perpendicular direction of the tiller. So if the tiller, let's say, if it is like a ball, okay, it's understandable. But if it is only circular, it will be somewhere, there will be some mechanical lock.
Okay, let us say there will not be any mechanical loss, mechanical locking. So this is the ram. Okay, and this ram is like a fork type. It means this ram will be like this. Another side, other ram, exactly it will be like this. Okay, and you have a pin which is inside. These two pins actually come together, and then it is bolted. Once it is bolted, these two curve, what will happen? This curve and this curve, it will make a circle. Okay. Once it make a circle, and that circle you have a pin. Pin is like this. And this pin have a hole at the center. So now this part is secured here. Another side, it will be secured. It means this is like a fork. It means other side also will be having a same arrangement like this on the top and bottom. Top will be holding this, bottom will be holding this. In between, on this hole, we have the tiller arm has entered. Okay, this hole tiller arm has entered, and this hole there is a bearing, and on top there is a bearing, circumferential bearing is here. Bottom also there is a circumferential bearing. Now the tiller arm has entered here. It was perpendicular at this point. After that, it will not be perpendicular. This pin will not be, this hole will not be perpendicular to that. It means if it is perpendicular, there will be mechanical locking. But what is happening, because tiller arm is moving this way, this hole has to be aligned with this axis of the tiller arm, so that there will not be any mechanical locking. So this pin, crosshead pin, can turn like this in both directions, depending on the tiller arm, this angle. So when it is moving this way, what is happening? Tiller arm is moving because your ram is moving. Your pin is moving linearly. At the same time, what will happen? This pin will have an angular motion because of the tiller arm. Tiller arm has entered into this. This, if you see this, this portion, this is the pin I had drawn here in different angle. So this from this angle, our tiller arm has entered it, and it is not rigidly fixed. There is a clearance. So tiller arm can move relative to the pin hole, and this pin hole has got bearing. So tiller arm and the pin can have a relative motion in this both the direction. And when tiller arm is moving, angular displacement, what is happening? Because this has to turn, this hole has to align with this tiller arm. So it will turn. It will have a movement in this direction as well as in this direction. And as well as this, the pin, crosshead pin, is moving in linear direction with our ram. So is it clear now, or still have doubt? Can you visualize? Because there is a bearing here, okay? And there is a bearing here. This bearing is shown here. This is the bearing, This is the bearing. Another bearing you have here, where the tiller arm has entered. Now, this pin is moving this direction or this direction. Once it is moving, what is happening? The rudder tiller arm has to move this way because it has entered into this hole. And this is moving because of the ram movement. Now what will happen? Tiller arm will have an angular displacement. But if, suppose, this is rigidly fixed here, this cannot have a angular motion. Then what will happen? This hole will not be aligned with your tiller arm, and it will be mechanically it will be locked. But what we have done, we have put a bearing here, so that pin can also rotate. It can have an angular displacement, and it can get automatically aligned with your tiller arm, because tiller arm has entered into this hole. Is it clear now?
Yes, Chief, it's clear. Thank you.
So that is the arrangement, and another arrangement will be like the crosshead. If you see this diagram, the previous diagram, so here this is the guide beam. It means this system will produce a side thrust also. This one force will be in this direction. So that will be taken by this guide beam, and also it will give support to the cylinder. And also there will be a sleeper. On that sleeper, the crosshead will move, because crosshead has to have a guide. So this sleeper, this is the sleeper. So on this sleeper, crosshead will move. So the guide beam does take the side thrust, as well as its sleeper is carrying the sleeper, so that the crosshead can move onto this, and then it supports also your cylinder. When you are applying a force, cylinder will try to move apart. This guide beam is keep holding them in place. That is also another purpose of the guide beam. So this is the crosshead system you have. But most of the case which we have seen on shape, and that is the Rapson slide. So Rapson slide is another arrangement. In Rapson slide, actually, I'll show you the force diagram. That's why it is the same force diagram here, but there is slight difference. But here I have not drawn the force diagram. It will not be pure torque for this ram system. There will be a side thrust will be produced. So if you see this quickly, this thing cross means the description. What is it given? Crosshead sleeper we have that is bolted on the side rams, and it slides on that sleeper. And the guide beam you have, that is the guide beam is transmitting the side thrust, and that is the radial thrust for your side thrust means it is moving radially to your rudder stock. So that is the radial force. And then it's transmit to your ship's hull, because this is attached to the ship's hull. Then it gets transmitted to the ship's hull. And you have the cylinder fit, which is, there is a bed plate, and it is bolted with the ship's hull. And this crosshead, which is a Turnian, that crosshead pin, which is a Turnian, which has got a bearing. We have seen that bearing, so that the rotary motion of the rudder stock, it can transmit to the rotary motion, linear motion of the ram, it can transmit to the rotary motion of the rudder. So this is one of the arrangement we can have. It can be for the two ram system, it can be for the 4 ram system. As I told you that how the pin is assembled. So both side it means this is like a fork, and this is the top view actually. That's why we can see this is the view we can see for the 1 ram. This is 1 ram, and exactly another ram will come here, so it will make a make a circle, and then this is bolted. So there will be flange and there will be bolted. And if you from the side, if you say, it will be like this. So this pin, the crosset pin we have seen, that will be here. Like this. And these two, here it will be bolted. Here other side also it will be, it means this will be at the center. And the other side will be bolted. It means it is a curve and then it will be secured. The crosset pin will be secured here. So this is the way it is arranged. So your ram end is like a fork, and inside the fork you have the pin, and you have the bearing on the ram end, and in the tiller there's a pin has got a, that hole has got a separate bearing, that is for the your tiller. So this is the arrangement for crosset arrangement you have. So now we have seen that the linear motion convert into the angular motion, and we get the now another thing, we get the angular motion of the rudder. Now another thing, there has to be some arrangement. These two clearance, what is it talking about here? That is the carrier bearing wear down and the jumping clearances. What is this two? Now when the heavy sea is there, then what will happen? Rudder will try to jump upward direction. That is called jumping clearances. And when the carrier bearing we have seen, which is taking the load of the rudder, it will get slowly worn out. Then what will happen? Rudder stroke will drop, move down. So these two clearances has to be provided in the steering gear system. Why? Because the rudder weight should not come to the power unit. It should, rudder weight is taken by the carrier bearing, but not by the power unit. If it is the moment it takes by the power unit is not designed to take that. It will get damaged. So this will say that how it is. It means the crosset, which is actually, if you see this, okay, this short circuit protection, how to test it, I'll tell you. Next class, I'll tell you when you do the testing, how do you test it. Okay, Lalisa, I'll tell you that. And one day as a question, that is this bearing lifetime, this bearing is not lifetime. It gets worn out, we'll have to change it. But usually it lasts for a very long time. It's not that every dry dock you do change, because if you can maintain the bearing lubricate correctly, this will get worn out very, very less. It lasts for very, very long time. But if you cannot maintain, then definitely you'll have to change. Wear down will be high. And there is a limit to the wear down depending on the bearing. Because if bearing is worn out, then there will be a problem of turning the rudder. It will how much angle it will be. So there we'll see that, and then there will be propeller drop, not propeller drop. Sorry, it is the rudder drop, and this is the drop which is talking about. That is the rudder carrier bearing is worn out. It drops, and because of the high sea, it jumps. So these two will see the next class. Will see this. We'll start from here, that this will come in the reference slide also. So that's why it is a common. That time we'll understand what is the rudder bearing wear down as well as the rudder jumping clearances. So now tell me any question till now. Any questions till now what I had taught you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So any questions? Because reference slide, I don't want to start because it will not be completed. It will be, that's why I did not want to start at this time because it is already 58. So we can start it next class. We can start reference from the reference slide. But till now, what has been taught to you, is it clear to you, or do you have any questions? You can ask.
It's clear, Chief.
Okay, then if there is no questions, then we close it here. And those have not sent the feedback. It is a requirement, EMA requirement. Every week you must give the feedback. Those have not given the feedback, send the feedback. And the previous feedback, those have not given, I'll send you our email I have not received from who all. And based on that email, you send it to me. Okay.
Okay.
Chief, I already sent
Okay,
you.
sir.
My name was on the list, but I already sent you.
Yeah. Tell me your name.
Golde.
Yeah. What is happening actually? In between, my laptop was changed. During that time, some email I have missed. So I have not received those email. That's why if you see your name, resend it. Okay. If you have sent it already, you just resend the same this thing, like feedback, same feedback. Because of that reason, and sometime it happens in the email system. So, okay, then we close it here.
Okay, Chief, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, then see you next class. Yeah.